The boy continued mocking him, his voice growing sharper as he brought up George's future on the throne. "A king is always under scrutiny by everyone. Good thing I'm not you," Freddy said, then unexpectedly shifted to a sensitive topic. He spoke disrespectfully about George's late grandmother, Princess Diana. "Your grandma was famous for causing so much drama. I hear people talk about it all the time. Lucky she's not here anymore." The atmosphere around them suddenly grew heavy. The laughter died away. Ran up to George and said loudly, "George, a kid like you is going to be king someday. Look at you walking around like you're in a play." Some adults chuckled lightly, thinking it was harmless fun. But Freddy didn't stop. George stood frozen, his face turning pale. The boy tried to stay composed, shoulders straight and lips pressed tight, but his eyes clearly showed pain and confusion. Those words not only struck at the Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy. The future belongs to the younger generation, and they deserve to grow up in a clean environment, unshadowed by the silhouette of silent schemes. Do you believe that Freddy's actions were merely the impulsiveness of a child, or was the boy truly overshadowed by royal power? Cracks and repair them in time. Catherine, in her role as a resilient mother, had proven that true strength lies not in power or influence, but in love and protection for one's children. The British royal family continues its journey, but now with a clearer sense of responsibility. Sat curled up by the window, staring blankly outside. Catherine took her son's hand. Her voice gentle. "Sweetheart, what happened today? Can you tell Mom?" At first, George stayed silent, as if trying to. As a sensitive mother who always observed her children closely, she sensed the change just from the way George walked. Her heart tightened, a mix of worry and anger surging within her. "Our son never walks away like that, unless he's been seriously hurt," Catherine thought. She excused herself from the others and quickly followed her son. William glanced at his wife, looking somewhat concerned, but not yet understanding what had happened. When they returned to their private home at Adelaide Cottage, the car was filled with heavy silence. George died of a future prince, but also touched the sacred memory of his grandmother, the woman George had always heard about with deep admiration. He didn't cry or argue back. He simply turned and walked away from the play area, his steps heavy toward the edge of the garden. Catherine noticed immediately. In the garden, William invited Freddy for a private talk in a relaxed atmosphere without pressure. He sat down at the boy's eye level, his voice warm. "Freddy, Uncle wants to hear what happened when you played with George that day." By. As a sensitive father and husband, he had noticed the changes in Catherine and George. After speaking privately with his wife, William decided to investigate himself. One peaceful afternoon tell Catherine that Freddy was just repeating what he heard at school or on social media. "We cannot let this affect our family's position." Tom agreed to help his mother. He tried to approach and explain lightly to reduce tension. However, William did not sit idle. "Just tell the truth. Uncle only wants to understand." Freddy hesitated at first, but trusting William, the boy unwittingly revealed the truth. "I was just saying what I heard everyone talking about. Grandma often says our family is important too. George is too weak to become king. I didn't mean anything bad." Freddy's words hit William like a shock. Rises and falls in British history. A family gathering was held on a peaceful weekend afternoon. Queen Camilla was the one who suggested the idea. She wanted to create an opportunity for the generations to bond more closely before she gradually stepped back from her prominent role in the royal family. Everyone hoped it would. Gradually, the scattered pieces led Catherine to suspect that behind Freddy's words, there might be influence from the adults. But if that were true, who was really behind it all? In the vast grounds of Windsor Castle, where the lush green gardens have witnessed countless rises, be a warm moment where the laughter of children would dispel the constant worries of court life. Prince George, the son of Prince William, the future heir, with a seriousness far beyond his years, was playing happily with with Freddy Parker Bowles, Camilla's grandson. Catherine stood to one side smiling as she watched her son. She was always proud of George. The boy had not only inherited royal looks, but also a sense of responsibility from a young age. But then everything began to change. Freddy Parker Bowles, Camilla's grandson, suddenly became the center of attention. At first, it was just light-hearted childish teasing. Freddy period. Catherine supplemented with documents, guest lists, staff statements, and instances of adding Camilla's family members to private gatherings. Charles listened, his face showing clear fatigue and disappointment. He flipped through each page, occasionally, but the evidence was too overwhelming, making her defenses weak. Finally, Charles made a decision. Camilla had to accept a significant reduction in her family's participation in the royal family's private activities. Children had caused serious negative effects. George had not only been hurt once, but had also carried distorted thoughts about his role and about his grandmother, Diana. Camilla sat silent throughout the meeting, her face pale. She tried to explain a few times, shaking his head. "I had hoped we could unite after I ascended the throne," he said slowly, his voice low. "But clearly, we have allowed personal ambitions to creep in." Through extended internal discussions, the full truth was revealed. Everyone agreed that adults discussing sensitive issues and competing for position in front of priority seating close by, easily appearing before the press cameras when needed. Camilla believed this was the way to maintain long-term influence. She indulged her grandchildren. Those suggestions were initially seen as minor adjustments for diplomacy. Gradually, Parker Bowles' grandchildren appeared more often at internal events involving George and the Cambridge children. They were not only present, but given priority. All fall apart, now, she thought, with iron determination. From then on, Camilla began acting wisely and systematically. She proactively suggested to her office staff that they arrange seating and guest lists for private family gatherings. "We need to strengthen bonds between the generations," she said in a gentle but persuasive tone, making them feel they were an indispensable part of the royal family. Those ideas gradually took root in some relatives' minds as a sense of special status. Freddy Parker Bowles, with his lively and close relationship with his grandmother, was most clearly influenced by these thoughts. One longtime nanny who cared for the grandchildren recounted in a low voice, "Freddy often repeats things he hears from adults, 'Your Royal Highness.' He once said the Parker Bowles family is also important to the royal family in a previous gathering." That account was the missing piece. Freddy's mocking words were not spontaneous from a child. They bore the mark of the surrounding environment, of adult conversations the boy had overheard. Catherine's emotions were a complex mix, tool for anyone to assert their position, Catherine thought, gripping the documents tightly. She decided not to report to William immediately. Her husband was busy with increasingly heavy responsibilities, especially the long-term plans for the royal family's future. Catherine wanted to verify more on. She was angry that her son had been insulted, worried that the negative influence might spread to her other children, and deeply disappointed in how internal matters were being handled. As the Princess of Wales, she had always tried to maintain harmony, but now she saw that harmony might only be a surface layer. George is not a tune at Windsor. It all exploded. Freddy's words not only hurt George, but also accidentally pulled back the concealing curtain, beginning to expose everything. Want to distract William while he carried many important responsibilities. This was something she would handle herself for George and for the future of her children. Catherine requested to review all records of. After listening to George's detailed account and gathering initial information from staff, Catherine no longer had doubts. She understood clearly that this was not a random incident between two children. With her cautious nature, Catherine began the verification process secretly and persistently. She did not want to cause a stir, nor did she want the Windsor gathering. As Princess of Wales, she had access to internal documents without drawing attention. When she opened the guest lists and seating charts, she discovered something alarming. Camilla's family especially the Parker Bowles side, had been added at the last minute multiple times on direct requests from the... She only wanted to protect what she had built. Yet those very arrangements inadvertently sowed the seeds of division. Freddy, the carefree boy, became an unwitting tool for adult ambitions. And then on that afternoon, each time she saw her grandson appear beside George in group photos, she felt somewhat reassured. This will help everyone get used to it, she told herself. But deep down, it was her way of protecting her family's future against the risk of being sidelined. Camilla did not think her actions would lead to direct conflict. She inadvertently created an environment where distorted ideas could develop. Busy consolidating her own position, she failed to notice the growing risk. When William pushed forward his reform plans, Camilla accelerated her actions. She proposed more family activities, always finding ways for her family to be present. The boy often overheard adult conversations, half-joking remarks about George and his future responsibilities. Camilla did not directly teach her grandson negative things, but her indulgence and the way she built a sense of privilege will always be by your side. George gradually recovered a smile, returning to his face. William was proud of his wife. He held her hand and said, "You did the right thing. We will build a truly close family together." The changes were implemented tactfully without causing major public disruption. Catherine began organizing private gatherings with a new approach, emphasizing mutual respect and avoiding unnecessary comparisons and competition. The story at Windsor, which had initially seemed like a small clash between children, ultimately became an important turning point. It helped the royal family recognize hidden... Catherine, this was a quiet victory. She hugged George tighter each day, whispering encouragement. "Sweetheart, you will grow up strong and loved." Mom and Dad. The royal family maintained its united image externally, but internally, a profound lesson had been learned. Personal ambitions cannot be placed above the stability and happiness of future generations. William and smiles remained on everyone's faces. But inside Catherine, a persistent unease lingered. She could not forget the hurt in George's eyes or her son's tearful account. Every night while the household slept, the image of Freddy mocking her son returned, keeping her awake. Catherine decided to begin with the serving staff and nannies. However, their reactions only deepened her suspicions. When asked about the incident between George and Freddy, most avoided the topic. It was just kids joking around, one said, eyes shifting away. Another staff member smiled awkwardly. "We didn't pay much attention, Your Royal Highness." Those vague, unnatural answers made Catherine realize something was wrong. She dug deeper. One quiet afternoon, Catherine met privately with a longtime royal assistant, someone she trusted to some extent. After much hesitation or inquiry, discreetly not wanting to escalate things before she had clear evidence, she started by speaking privately with those who had been present at the gathering. First, protect her children and maintain stability for the whole family. In the days following the gathering at Windsor, the royal family outwardly maintained its normal rhythm. Public ceremonies went smoothly. That making a scene immediately would complicate everything and affect the royal family's image as well as George's. Instead, she wiped away his tears, told him a gentle story to help him calm down and put him to bed. That night, after George had fallen asleep, Catherine sat alone in the living room. She stared into the dark gate. She didn't want to worry William right away, but she also couldn't let this happen again. As a mother and the Princess of Wales, she knew her responsibility to protect us outside, lost in thought. The gathering that was meant to foster closeness had instead created a crack. Freddy's words were not spontaneous. They carried the flavor of adults. Catherine decided she would quietly invest to build. Meanwhile, Catherine and William grew even more united. They spent more time with George, helping the boy overcome his hurt. Catherine whispered to her husband, "We must protect the children. We cannot let this continue." was now heading toward its climax as William and Catherine prepared to report the full matter to King Charles. After gathering full evidence and discussing thoroughly with each other, William and Catherine decided to— William nodded, determined to clarify everything with his father. In the end, Camilla's efforts to smooth things over failed. Instead of calming the situation, they made the truth even clearer. The silent confrontation report the entire incident to King Charles. The meeting took place in a serious atmosphere at Buckingham Palace. William presented clearly and logically, his voice steady. "Father, this is not merely a conflict between two children. It is the result of systematic arrangements over a long— After years of struggle to secure her position, Camilla could not accept everything being pushed back into the shadows. I have sacrificed too much. I cannot let it all— Meeting at Balmoral, the atmosphere had already begun to shift. Prince William presented a clear vision for a more streamlined royal family. He emphasized focusing resources on core members, reducing cumbersome ceremonies, cutting costs, and bringing the monarchy closer to the modern public. Charles listened attentively. Streamlined monarchy meant the roles of many side branches would be reduced. And her own family, those she had worked hard to bring into the inner circle, would be among the first affected. With some members nodding in agreement, but Camilla sat silently, her face wearing the familiar diplomatic smile, while anxiety and unease surged within her. She understood the implications of William's words clearly. She lived in relative isolation, still appearing publicly with her familiar smile, but behind it was a deep loss of trust from her husband and core family members. For Catherine, requests to add guests from her office would be more strictly controlled. In contrast, William and Catherine were given the responsibility of chairing activities for the heir generation. The goal was to create a healthy, respectful environment where the grandchildren could grow up without being affected by adult conflicts. "You will take on this role with a sense of responsibility," Charles said, looking directly at William and Catherine. Both nodded in agreement. This was not only a duty, but also an opportunity for them to protect their children and shape the royal family's future in a more positive direction. Camilla left the meeting in a state of collapse. She had once hoped to solidify her family's position, but now everything had fallen apart. Charles began keeping a clear distance. Their private conversations became brief and cold. Mocking words were not only aimed at his future as heir, but also touched on memories of Princess Diana. Catherine quickly realized this was no ordinary child.
This, of course, came as a huge shock, and William and I have been doing everything we can to process and manage this privately for the sake of our young family.
Our son has been insulted right within our own family. Just one sentence from Catherine was enough to make Prince William immediately set aside all his work. But what enraged them the most was the person responsible, Freddy Parker Bowles, Queen Camilla's grandson. According to George, the quarrel. As she quietly investigated, she discovered that Camilla's own family had been appearing at internal family gatherings far more frequently than before, while many staff members seemed to avoid her. He stayed calm in front of the boy, but when he returned, his face darkened. He found Catherine and told her everything. Both clearly saw that the problem stemmed from adults contacting close staff, asking them to stay silent and coordinate their statements. But it was too late. The truth was emerging, and the cover-up efforts only made things more complicated. For the first time in many years, Camilla felt clear coldness from William and Catherine. She understood she had gone too far. The actions meant to protect her family had instead pushed her into a difficult position. She began to fear for her own status, her relationship with Charles, and the future she had worked so hard from careless adult conversations that children had overheard and repeated. When Camilla learned of William's conversation with Freddy, she grew even more anxious. She tried to arrange further cover by conted part of the veil. She saw clearly Camilla had been scheming for a long time to affirm her family's position. And now, as the truth gradually emerged, Catherine was ready to face it. Her quiet verification journey not only helped her understand the problem, but also strengthened her resolve to protect her small family from the hidden ambitions threatening the stability of the entire royal family. News that Catherine was quietly investigating quickly reached Camilla. Though she tried to maintain a calm exterior, panic stirred inside her. She realized she had underestimated the Princess of Wales's determination. Without hesitation, Camilla took the initiative before things spread further. The next day in the afternoon at Clarence's house, Camilla arranged a private meeting with Catherine. The atmosphere was tense despite both women trying to maintain polite smiles. Camilla spoke without a real compromise. Catherine left with a resolute attitude, while Camilla was more worried than ever. Immediately afterward, Camilla called her son Tom Parker Bowles. Her voice was urgent. "Tom, you must handle this." Straight in the eyes, her voice calm but firm. "Your Majesty, if it were merely childish joking, I wouldn't be concerned. But those words were not natural. George was deeply hurt. We need to clarify things so it doesn't happen again." Camilla's expression shifted slightly. She hadn't expected Catherine to be so direct. She tried to pivot. "I will remind Freddy and the family. This is just a misunderstanding." The meeting ended first in a gentle tone. "Dear Catherine, I've heard about what happened between the two boys. It's unfortunate, but we all know children joke around and sometimes say things they shouldn't. I think we shouldn't make a big deal out of it, lest it affect the royal family's overall image." Catherine looked her Queen's office. Not just once, but repeated in at least 3 private family events over the past 6 months.